I'm Vic Myers. Welcome to The Resistance. Sometimes our point of view is shaped for us and we don't even know it. I'm going to give you a historical example and then relate it to what's happening in Venezuela today. First, I'm going to show you a colorized picture that was taken in the 1940s. If you would, I want you to look at it and see if you can guess where it was taken. Did you guess Texas? That'd be reasonable. I mean, there's a sign there that says Texas, and definitely looks like it could have been taken in a Texas small town. That picture was taken in Iran. Isn't it curious how it doesn't match up with what we've been taught for generations about what kind of a country Iran is? Iran was once one of the greatest intellectual centers of the world. When much of Europe was illiterate, scholars traveled to Persia to study medicine, mathematics, philosophy, science. Avicenna wrote a medical text that Europe used for centuries. Al-Khwarizmi gave us algebra. Omar Khayyam advanced geometry and wrote poetry that's still read today. Muslims, Jews, Christians, and older religions lived and studied side by side. This isn't the Iran we were taught about growing up. We were taught they were all a bunch of religious zealots. We were never shown the real Iran. Why? As recently as 1953, they had a democratically elected parliament and prime minister, an independent press, political parties. They also had oil. And most of the profits from that oil had always gone to foreigners more than to Iran. And then Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh made the decision to nationalize Iran's oil industry. Sound familiar yet? Enter the Dulles brothers. John Dulles was the American Secretary of State. Allen was the director of the CIA. Their former law firms, well, they were heavily tied to British and American oil companies. Together, they painted Mossadegh to be a communist. He wasn't. They ran Operation Ajax, a covert coup using propaganda, bribery, street violence, and military pressure to overthrow Mossadegh and install a Shah that was backed by the U.S. Iran became a police state that was ruled by secret police and was propped up by American arms and money. This lasted until the 1970s when the U.S.-backed dictator was overthrown in a revolution that defined itself as anti-Western. So how's all that working out for us? And yesterday, 73 years after we engineered the end of one democracy, we woke up to news that America has deposed President Maduro of Venezuela with military force. For a while, we were fed a line of nonsense about fentanyl flowing from Venezuela. Now, Trump isn't even pretending that fentanyl has anything to do with it. When I listened to his press conference yesterday, it sounded like the only difference between Iran and Venezuela is apparently we're just going to put American oil companies in charge of Venezuela. Does anybody believe that this is going to work in the long run? Do you think the people down there will just smile and say, "Please, Exxon CEO, tell us what we can and cannot do. Please, Chevron, take our oil and give us pennies with which we'll feed and house our families"? We're going into Venezuela uninvited and imposing American oil company power. We removed the leader, but we didn't remove the people he leads. There's factions in Venezuela just like any other country, and they'll fight for their country just like we would fight invaders here. Iran is half a world away, but the distance from the U.S. to Venezuela is roughly the same as the distance from the Statue of Liberty to Mount Rushmore. Russia and China both have financial interests in Venezuela. Between them and Iran, there's more than enough drones for some of them to be given to resistance forces in Venezuela. It only took 20 years for the Iranian people to form an anti-West revolution. I don't think it's going to take that long for Venezuela to form an anti-American revolution. When the first drone flies, will we remember how we got here? Or will our point of view already be shaped for us. Thanks for listening. Good day.